personally. Sending shout outs to all those people who are listening in from Funky Town, Fort Worth, Texas. Let it go, man. Let it go, man. You just be killing my vibe, man. Who we listening to? This is Kenya C.
This is Kenya Soul Singer.
Kenya Soul Singer. All right.
Velvet Ocean.
All right. Kenya Soul Singer from Oklahoma City. All right. Well, we play the best music. We're live on this angle, and we're live right here coming to you. You know, we want to go ahead and say that this is Washington, D.C.'s finest that have been transplanted to Dallas. Dallas, you know. I remember when my family moved here from D.C., my mom came down here and she said, gee, where can I get me some half smokes at? You know?
That happening, brother.
No, see, you get banner sausage and all that, man.
Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah. So Maryland crabs and everything.
Oh, don't mention crab cakes, brother. And just go down to the wharf and just buy a bushel of crabs.
Yeah.
Have crab feast.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
My family did it all the time.
Man, you know, I got relatives in D.C., man. You got little bitty girls, like 4 or 5 years old, crack them crabs open,
Sure
get the
will.
meat all out. But we got barbecue down here. But, you know, that's what we got in D.C., you know. We talked, and, you know, we were, as I said, vibing during the break and everything. We're talking about a lot that we had in common, but also how we're going to move the district forward. And we're talking about not the District of Columbia this time. We're talking about D4, Dallas City Council District 4. A lot of what we were talking about was code enforcement, economic development.
Right.
These are the things that ail the community in itself. But as a doctor, you have a patient that's ill and sick, you have to prescribe them with meds to make them better. What is your prescription to make D4 better?
A couple of things in my prescription. One is, first off, I guess I want to say generally, it's easy to see what's not right in District 4. And I want to, from whether it's the code enforcement, the people feeling like the quality of life is just continually going down. But there's a lot of good things going on in District 4. There are a lot of strong neighborhoods, and I want to build bridges between those neighborhoods, resources to those neighborhoods, those that are already doing something. The district has $10 million in discretionary funds for the district that was from the previous bond package.
Now, what is a discretionary fund?
$10 million to fund projects
10 million.
that are not designated already. See, that bond program that came through last year that was approved, it outlined streets, a lot of things, improvements for the neighborhood, infrastructure for District 4. But they were also, at the city council person's discretion, $10 million that he could designate to projects within the district. I want to get that $10 million out.
So there shouldn't be any reason for there to be a pothole then.
Well, that's a different set of money.
Okay.
Okay. But
See, I asked for you.
There's there are a whole list of projects for District 4. They probably haven't started yet. We're not seeing the fruit of it yet. But there's that handles the potholes. This $10 million is for special projects that need funding to make improvements in the district. So I want to immediately identify projects that are ready for funding. But I also want to identify some projects, good projects, great ideas, they're just not ready to be funded yet. So I want District 4 to always have a pipeline of projects, issue things that, though we might not have the funding for today, project might not be ready today. But if I got a pipeline, I don't want there ever be an excuse that some people say, well, we don't know where development's happening, we don't have any projects we can fund. We got some stuff already. Those things can happen immediately. The planning process with stakeholders, homeowners association, community nonprofits in District 4, that process needs to start now because we are behind. So that's more long term, but But that $10 million, that's immediate term. And then we just need to let the residents know, all right, there is money over here that has already been designated for that pothole over there, for street improvements over here. We just need to get the information out to people. Now, nothing happens as quick as people really want, because you got a pothole, you want that thing fixed tomorrow.
Exactly.
You don't want
Specifically
that
if it messed your car up.
Mess your car.
Right.
Ewing Street, they've been working on redoing Ewing Street. In my opinion, it's just ridiculous how long that is taking. And so a city council person can go in and say, look, y'all already tore up this street. Potholes everywhere. I know you're improving it, but why is this taking so long? Can begin to ask questions. Leverage resources for the dog issue. There are a couple of nonprofit organizations that have received, one of them received over a $3 million grant specifically to address the dog problem in District 4. We don't know that. A lot of people don't know the resources that are already available. Those are immediate things that I think as a city council person, I can bring to District 4. Now, some of it's long term. It's gonna take, planning is long term and it's boring, but it bears fruit.
What wasn't boring is when I saw you guys at Monday Night Politics, which was sponsored by one of our dynamic partners here on the Commission Radio Show, the Dallas Examiner. It was like 12 of y'all on stage.
It's 12 of us. 12
was
or 13.
at
It's
that
13
time.
candidates. It's 12.
12
right?
of them
One
now.
of them dropped out.
Right. Is that going to be a runoff? Do you think you can pull this thing out? That's a long pause.
I tell you what I want.
Okay.
I want to pull it off.
You want to pull it
I
off?
want to pull it off.
Without
But the
a
goal
run-
is to get in the runoff. The
Okay.
math says there's going to be a runoff. I can't go. Facts are facts. And the math says there's runoff. And I intend to be in the runoff. But then I know the Lord.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And I've learned that I can ask for what I want. Now, he can do what he want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can ask for what I want.
That's true.
So I'm going to ask. I've been asking him. I want to win outright. All I need is 51%. So if 5,000 people vote, all I need is 2,500.
Oh, you done got that down. Your math was like your favorite subject, then, right? 2,000.
I wasn't half bad.
It's
If 6,000 people vote in District 4 for the,
And I asked you a setup question because then the Lord, you brought the Lord.
I had to bring Lord in. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I.
That's the basis of who I am. Hey, I'm not asking people to vote for me because I'm a pastor, but that's who I am. I preach every Sunday.
Well, tell me about the church. Or tell us about the church. Golden Gate.
Church stakeholder in that neighborhood for 88 years. In January will be 89 years, right there in that same place. And
Same spot.
Same spot.
That you can see it from the freeway.
Barely.
Barely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially they raised it up, the new improvement with the new bridge, they raised it up. It's a little hard to see. But if you're looking for it, you can see it from the highway.
Okay.
Especially going south across the bridge. 88 years there. Every season in the life of that church, it has been committed to that community. Back when there were houses everywhere and children everywhere, strong children's ministry. Crack epidemic hit, started a drug ministry, which I was a part of for 7 years, as directly involved with ministering to men in that issue. This church is a serving church. We've committed to stay in that neighborhood because we've had several offers, and after a while they have stopped offering, asking me, because we made a commitment to stay there. Why would we move? Everybody's trying to move back into the city. Why would I move out? And then we couldn't do what I know the Lord has called us to do, which is to minister in a neighborhood where everybody wants to leave. We're just not about preaching the gospel at the church. We're about living the gospel. And that's the church is where we get equipped to live the gospel in the world. And don't want to leave. We're committed there. And that people are committed there.
Now, you mentioned drugs.
Yes.
An excellent drug outreach program.
Yes.
Tell me about that program.
30 years next year, 29 years, started in 1990.
When you came?
89, when I came. I didn't start it,
Yeah.
but got directly involved with discipling young men. And then about 2 years in 93, I believe, I became the director. the program is designed for men and now women who struggle with drugs and alcohol. They come live there at the church for up to 6 months to 18 months. They can't work for the first 4 months, and then after 4 months they can go to go to work, find a job, and then we don't want them to leave until they got money in the bank, they've got money for a car, they've got a savings account, so they're just not leaving.
You're just not gonna throw them out just like it is if you get released from prison. They just say, here, here's it. Folks, we're not gonna take any calls in, so close off any calls on that one. We're not gonna do that. On the Saturday show, when we resume on Saturdays, we'll take some calls. But this week, we just wanna go ahead and talk to candidate Parker, okay? So let's continue on. So you were saying they don't want to leave. You don't want to put them out there basically.
Oh no.
In the streets. And
we want them, if they go through the ministry, they're looking to leave with a job, not just with a job, with money in the bank, a place to stay. We don't want them to go back. If they're married, of course we want to go back to their family, to their wife, their spouse. But we don't want them going back home to mama. You need to be independent.
It's about independence.
It's about discipline. It's about independence. It's about allowing God to build you into the man and now the woman that He's designed you to be. And drugs and alcohol is not part of God's design to be covering your life, controlling your life.
I'd like to send a couple of shout outs to some people that are listening in. Dominique Alexander listening in. Former City Councilman Eric Wilson is listening in. There's a lot of talk about Mr. Wilson. Maybe he'll return to the election, the campaign trail. Tony Morris is listening in. Charlotte Wooten is listening in, and we have some others. Dorothy Burton has made a comment about you as well. You'll be able to read that one as well. Just wanted to acknowledge those people for listening in, tuning in. Brother Andrew Finch of the Commission Radio Show as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Also, a reminder to go online and pick up your Commission Radio Show shirts and the hoodies, of course. And they are in black and gold. Somehow I am keen to those colors, black and gold. But today we are now talking to candidate Vincent T.Parker for City Council District 4. So as we go to a closing, please give us a closing here. And we can look at that camera there, so we can go ahead and close. And here we go.
Well, first off, I want to thank you, Mr. Gray, for allowing me to come and share with you and your listeners. I appreciate the work that you do through this radio show. And I'm asking for the support of District 4 voters, seeking to serve them in ways, because I have a track record that's already bearing fruit, development in the community in District 4. And so I just want to expand my area of service and bring some of those things that we've already accomplished in the district to the larger area of the district. So I'm seeking their support, and hopefully I can earn that.
And election day is?
Election day is this coming Tuesday, November 6th. Early voting ends at 7 o'clock this evening, and tomorrow is the last day for early voting from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then Tuesday, November 6th, the polls open at 7 a.m.
That'll work. And also remember to tune in this Saturday, in which we will have Ms. Jana Sanchez running for U.S. Congress, and also Judge Stacey Williams running for re-election to the bench. And on Sunday, 9 on 8, Sunday, 9 on 8, Inside Texas Politics, hosted by Jason Whiteley, and you will hear me talk about this campaign, the midterm elections, and Donald Trump. If you want to know a teaser about what's said, go ahead and pick up a North Dallas Gazette, and you will get a sneak preview. All right, we're about out of time, and we will see you guys next week. Well, no, not next week. On Saturday on the Commission Radio Show. All right.